Hey, what's up? This is Caleb from MassMuscleTV, bringing the competitors to you. I'm joined by IFPA and NGA pro bodybuilder, APA pro powerlifter, and has a PhD in nutritional sciences. His name is Layne Norton. He is crushing it, rocking it, and so without any further ado, how you doing, Layne?
Doing great, man.
Doing good, good. All right. I guess my first question really is just how and when did you first get into bodybuilding?
Well, kind of had the cliche background of getting picked on as a kid in high school, and kind of got into weights from that, and to improve my self-esteem and those sorts of things. And then I played baseball through high school. And then when I was done with baseball, I've always been a real competitive person. So when I was done with baseball, I went off to college. At that point, I was kind of getting real serious with weightlifting. And so bodybuilding, competing was just kind of the next step for me. And each year I've kind of gotten more and more into it. Now, obviously, very dedicated with it. It's a lifestyle for me 24/7. But it just kind of evolved to that slowly. It wasn't like one day I just woke up and said, I'm going to be a bodybuilder, and, was totally dedicated to it. It kind of evolved over time. But the root, just trying to increase my, self-esteem in high school and feel better about myself and those sorts of things. Which I think probably a lot of people got into it that way.
Right, okay. What is it that you love so much about bodybuilding?
I love pushing myself, man. For me, it's not necessarily about how I place at shows or, obviously you want to win, but, this sport is a little more like golf as opposed to something like, football, where, in football, you can directly impede your competition by your actions, whereas in golf, you can shoot your best round you've ever shot and still lose. So, I can show up in the best shape I've ever shown up in my life, and somebody might just be better than me that day. And so, you want to win, but you can't really get too caught up in placings. I just try to come in my best every time, and I feel like if I consistently beat my best, eventually those wins are going to take care of themselves. And so, for me, it's just about whether it's on stage or on a platform, for powerlifting, I just want to be better than I was last time. And I get, a huge thrill just in a regular workout breaking a PR. That for me is still very rewarding, even though maybe it's not accepting a first place trophy or something like that. It's still hugely rewarding. And I do this for the same reason I powerlift, for the same reason I did my PhD. I didn't do my PhD because I wanted people to call me doctor all the time. I did my PhD because I wanted to push myself and say, okay, how far can you take this thing? Can you take this, okay, you got your bachelor's. When I had my bachelor's, I felt like I still didn't know anything. And so I said, okay, well, let's take this to the next level and see, how far can you push yourself? How much can you take? And so that's what it's more about for me, is just pushing myself and seeing how far I can take things.
Okay, and would you say that that's how you kind of stay motivated, is constantly wanting to improve? Yeah,
definitely. The day I stop worrying about improving and just focus on, I'm focused on other people or focused on things I have no control over, rather than trying to control myself, that's the day I probably need to walk away. But yeah, it's just all about pushing myself and trying to, for the same reason you just want to break your PRs every workout, because it makes you feel good, it keeps you going. And again, that's what keeps me coming back, is kind of feeling like, in baseball, or you strike out and you're gonna have another chance to get the bat the next day or what have you. In bodybuilding, you could diet for 20 weeks or 24 weeks and you can step on stage and not even get a call out, So it's you have to appreciate every workout. You have to, use that as your chance to come in and get better every single time. because it's just so different than other aspects of competition.
Right. Now, speaking of competition, you are doing like a competition circuit. Can you kind of talk about that real quick?
Yeah, so I did my last series of shows when I won my natural pro card was in 2006. And then after that, I had a lot of things come up. I was in graduate school doing my PhD, and it took so much out of my time to do those shows that I told myself I wouldn't compete again until I was finished my PhD, which I finished in last May in 2010. And in between that time, I also got married, and I ended up tearing my pec, and so there was a lot of things that kind of solidified the fact that I wasn't going to be able to compete for a few years. So 4 years later, fast forward 4 years later, I'm completely healed up, and we moved from Illinois, where I got my PhD, to Florida, and I started preparing for my first series of natural pro shows. And really, man, I worked so hard this prep because, I've worked hard in previous preps, but never like this, because the reality dawned on me. You look at the guys out there and how deep the talent pool is. I said, I told myself, I'm like, you could do everything right, and you might still never win another show. That realization is terrifying. So I really worked hard, busted it, and my first show was the IFPA Pro International on September 19th, and that went really well. I ended up winning the heavyweight division. Didn't win the overall. The guy that won the overall was awesome. He was only 24 years old too, which is scary. But I was really happy. I came in by far my best. The judges all gave me a lot of great feedback because most of them had seen me as an amateur, and they just told me that I had made such huge improvements, and they were really surprised at how far I'd come. So more than winning, that felt great to hear that. Because even if I had won, if I hadn't improved from an amateur, it would have been like, well, what's the point? Because again, I want to beat myself. And then I did the IFPA Gaspari Pro Cape Cod show on October 9th, and that didn't go as well for me. I got fourth in the heavyweight division. Now, again, placing's not a huge deal for me, but I didn't come in. I was very, very flat at prejudging, and the head judge told me that I looked like a completely different bodybuilder from Kansas City to Cape Cod, and I looked way better at the night show. And what was weird was I didn't really change anything, and so I was kind of left scratching my head with what happened. And what I took away from it was you can't really stick rigidly to a game plan, even though it might have worked previously. You gotta listen to your body, you gotta watch your body, because as competitors and a scientist, I like to think I can control everything, but the reality is there's tens of thousands of metabolic processes happening at once in your body, and the idea that you have total control over all those is just it's not true. So it really it was kind of a good learning experience. I needed to pay more attention to my body, even though something may have worked in the past. I needed to make sure that if it wasn't working, be willing to adjust. So it's probably a good thing, to not do as well and to kind of give the wake-up call. And then I decided to do the Norton Cup, which is the IFPA's World Championships, this past weekend. And that was an amazing show. There was 36 or 37 pros in total, pro men. 3 different weight classes. I ended up in the heavyweights. I was a lighter. I was probably one of the lightest heavyweights in there, but I ended up getting top 5, got 5th, and in the deepest Norton Cup that there's ever been. And I felt really good about that. And more than anything, I came in a lot better. And so even though I was 5th as opposed to 1st or 4th, the competition was higher level, and it was just one of those things where I came in at my best, so I felt real good about it. And now I got one show left, which is the NGA Universe on November 13th. And probably not going to be as big of a show as the other shows I've done, But I'm really excited about it because I did that show as an amateur. So I'm looking forward to going back down to Miami and trying it again as a professional. And you know, it'd be fun because I think some of my friends are coming because I live in Florida. So that I'm excited about that. And then the week after that, I have a guest posing, and then I'm done. So it's been it'll be, I think, a total of 33 weeks of dieting. So I'm ready to get back into the off season and start making some improvements again. And looking forward to lifting some heavy weights and competing in powerlifting sometime late next year.
I'm sure, man. That's 33 weeks. Oh my word.
Yeah, brutal.
I bet.
Click here for part 2 of the Layne Norton interview as we discuss his training philosophy.